أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
We are almost at the end, and there's hardly a couple of hours left that we're going to be together. The intention that I had was that your relationship with the Holy Quran becomes better. Because this month is specifically for the Holy Quran, fasting is for the Holy Quran, the nights are for the Holy Quran, the days are for the Holy Quran. So, in this particular month, our focus should be the Holy Quran. But our relationship, the way we have it with the Quran, needs to change. Because the way that our relationship is, it's not based on the relationship that Ahlulbayt and the Holy Prophet has said to us to maintain. I won't say that it's more of a cultural, but some of it is also a cultural relationship with the Holy Quran. Like in marriages, we will give the Quran, right? We will have, when you buy a new house, we'll give a Quran. When someone passes away, we will recite the Holy Quran. It has become sort of like a routine or a checklist that we do, and we're not able to see the Quran in the light that it is its right and that the Holy Prophet and Ahlulbayt alayhi salam have told us. So for us as Shias, as a mazhab, we haven't focused on the Quran. We have a lot of our Sunni brothers who will memorize the Holy Quran, but among our Shias, we have very few people, if any, that would do the hifz of the Quran. And then also in the recitation as well, we see that, after the revolution, of course, things have changed. We have qaris that are, recitation of the Quran is on international level, and they have a name now, and they represent the Shia Mazhab that way. But before that, it was mostly our Sunni brothers that would put an effort in. As far as ideologically, reason why perhaps we left the Quran is because we feel that we have Ahlulbayt. But when we look at the Ahlulbayt in our relationship with them, is the same relationship we have with the Quran. It's no different. Like we will, if somebody was to ask us, your teachers, what have they said? We don't know. We hardly have emphasis on people to memorize the traditions of Ahlulbayt. Although we have so much emphasis that we should have at least 40 of the traditions memorized, right, from Ahlulbayt. But if I was to ask you, and I'm not asking you, I think the number would be very small. And even like what you will mention of a tradition from Imam Ali, it will be the meaning that you've understood, not the quote. Not the exact quote, but the meaning you've understood. Right? So And then we also have a cultural relationship with Ahlulbayt alayhim salam, which is, everyone does their azah differently, everyone does the celebration differently. We have different foods, different expectations, different dress, and so forth. So this relationship with Ahlulbayt alayhim salam is also not what is intended or what is going to benefit us. And we are almost in the end of days. Our time is running out. At very, very soon, Imam is going to appear, and when he appears, whatever we have done now is the relationship we're going to have with Imam. Okay? So if we don't correct our relationship with the Quran, then when we have the Imam, our relationship with the Imam will not be the way it should be. Right? And the same thing, if we don't correct the relationship with Ahlulbayt alayhim salam, then of course that's very well understood. Right? When we try to think about the Quran, we will just go into the meaning of it. We'll say, okay, we should know the meaning of the Holy Quran. The meaning of the Holy Quran, just on verse basis, doesn't give you an idea about the ghaya of the Quran, like the purpose of the Quran, how Quran wants to take you to a place. Let me just say this word, what is the thinking pattern of the Quran? If we, again with Ahlul Bayt, we don't know their thinking pattern, right? Same thing with the Quran, we don't know the thinking pattern of Quran. But if you're able to get the thinking pattern of Quran or Ahlul Bayt, it is going to be the same. But what is more accessible for us right now is the Quran. Imam Zaman and for some people, maybe on spiritual level is accessible, but for majority of us, he's not accessible. Other than the fact that we can pray for him, we can, do this dua and so forth. So, thinking pattern of the Imam or the Quran would determine what we do when a scenario comes up, what we do when the stimulus is given to us, what we do when the triggers are there, right? When we are in situations, what will we do? Once you build the thinking pattern of Ahlul Bayt or the Quran, then you know what to do. And what you would be doing is what Quran would do. Or what you would be doing is what Ahlul Bayt would do. Right? So in order to build the thinking pattern of the Holy Quran, just the meaning part is not going to get us there. We need to see what Quran is looking at when it says the concept of a human being. Right? We need to look at what Quran is thinking or the thinking pattern of Quran on different topics. And in order to do that, as I said, now it's very easy. If you just on the level of meaning, you just do the searches on a topic, all the verses come up, and you can read all of those verses, and it gives you a thinking pattern on that concept. You get it? Right? So this way, if you start on this, then eventually you'll start seeing things in the light that Quran is wanting us to see. Oh yeah? Right? So this was what you can do when we are not having this session. I don't want to do the review yet, like asking you questions, but if you think about it, does anyone know the number, how many different ways to look at the Quran? 30, we were going to, but we didn't cover. How many did we cover? 8? So it's, if you've just covered 8, and you were to use those 8 to now start seeing the Quran that way, I'm 100% sure that your outlook and relationship with the Quran will change. Because that's 8 more than what we were looking at Quran. Right? Or it's 7 more. Because majority of those angles, we didn't think about them. Right? Okay? So, Now, as far as conclusion, I have things that I mentioned to you that I will talk, and then we end up running out of time because maybe I do too much introduction, maybe this, I try to make sure that everybody is on the same page, that we understand properly and we move forward. Right? It's a challenge because everyone is at a different level of understanding. Everyone has a different level of comprehension of this language. For a lot of you, you have to translate first, like in Arabic or in Urdu, and then you get to the point that I'm trying to make. And sometimes, if the CC, the closed caption is not working fast enough, then after four different, after like 10 minutes, you're like, where am I? Right? So I understand all of those challenges were with us, but Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever He gave us, we just need to be thankful. Right? This concept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives bila iwas, He does not ask anything in return. None of it is our right. And whatever He gives, we need to be thankful. If we are that way, He will increase in our blessings. But if we feel that, we didn't get enough, for example, in the 30 days, or we didn't get enough, or the 2 months that I was around you, then this will come into like a sort of, I'm not considering that our time, it was a blessing for me. For sure it was a blessing for me. So then if we do that, then it's kufrani ni'mat. If I do that, it's kufrani ni'mat. And if it's kufrani ni'mat, it will decrease in that blessing. Okay? So we just have to be grateful for what He has given to us. And whatever we have, it's more than what we had before, even if it's one angle. And whatever that one angle is, now the rest of the year or the rest of the time, you need to implement that. Because everything learned has implications and application. So it's implication and application. Anything you learn, even if it's one sentence. Why? Because that you did not know before, now you will be asked. So there's implications. Right? And there's, of course, application. Because once you know, then you put that into practice. So now for the Iman part, Imam Ali ﷺ mentioned 4 pillars. Okay? So what were those 4 pillars? Sabr for sure you're going to remember. Because of somebody. Yaqeen, Adl, and Jihad. You know? So I would suggest that this short saying number 31, the number can differ like depending on translation. It could be 32 or 30. But this 31 has immense amount of treasure. Like if you were to think of what Imam is saying, the reason why Najul Balagha said Rizvi was completely like dumbfounded about the Balaghat of Imam Ali was that he would, in a very short, in a very concise sentence, will give you things that if you were to open that sentence, you could spend your whole life and you will not get to the depth of that sentence. Right? And it's the same thing with the Quran. If you were to take one verse and spend the rest of your life, you will not be able to get to the depth of it. That's why both are Quran. Imam Ali is Quran, and so is. Actually, I'll try to find. There is a hadith from the Holy Prophet. He has said that Ali is with the Quran and Quran is with Ali. Yeah. Which that. Yes. So what it means is that these are not two things that are together, but they are one. Like Imam is with the truth, and the truth is with the Imam. So you know this tradition. So it's not like this, or Thaqalain, the tradition of Thaqalain, meaning they will never be apart. Means what? It's not like they're together. They are one. So wherever, like the sister says, wherever Quran moves, so does Ahlulbayt, and wherever Ahlulbayt moves, so does the Quran. So wherever truth moves, so does Imam Ali, and wherever Imam Ali moves, so does the truth. Right? This is like the relationship together. But their way of teaching us the truth was that we will tell you what the truth is. We will open up as much clarity as you want. You can ask us whatever you like. We will open it up, but at the end, it is up to you to accept it or not to accept it. A person came at the time of Jang-e-Jamal, and he said to Imam Ali that I'm confused. I don't know which way to go. There is on one side is personalities that are big in Islam, and then on the other side it's you. So I'm not sure where to go. I'm confused. Now Imam Ali could have easily said, "Well, have you not heard the Prophet that I am with the truth and truth is with me?" Could have easily said, or the Prophet saying that Ali is with the Quran and Quran is with Ali. He could have easily said that, but he said to him that, "Listen, first find out what the truth is. Once you find out what the truth is, then use that as a measuring scale to measure personalities. If the personality fits within that framework, follow it. If it doesn't fit in that framework, don't follow it." And when that person contemplated for a little while, he said that he supported Imam Ali. But this is their way. This is also the way of the Holy Quran. Right? But the other way of Ahlulbayt is like whichever person, whichever capacity they brought, they only gave him according to that capacity. It wasn't like, because you know how I start talking about quantum physics and a lot of science, and maybe I shouldn't. Not maybe, no, I shouldn't. Because perhaps I'm talking about things that are above the capacity of some people. Like, I don't think that way, that's why I say, but for some people it might be above their capacity. But Ahlul Bayt, when they talk, they only talk specifically according to the capacity. A person came asked about Ruh, Imam Ali. He says it's from Amr of Allah. Go. That's it. Another person comes, asks about the same question. Imam Ali gave him in detail. Now, when he gave him in detail, there was a person standing and said, "Imam, this person came and he said, Amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, go. With this person, you explain." Imam said, because that person's capacity was just that, and this person's capacity was different. Therefore, I gave him more information. Quran is going to do the same. So what we need to do is, once we start looking at the Holy Quran differently, we are taking a different capacity to the Quran. If we're thinking Quran is alive, and we have given this possibility, now Quran is going to deal with us that way. If we go with the possibility, if we go with the idea that Quran is dead, then Quran is going to deal with us that way. If we go to the Holy Quran as a friend, it's going to deal with us as a friend. If we go to the Holy Quran as it's a book which I just have to recite to earn spiritual cash, then that's the way the Holy Quran is going to deal with us. So if our relationship needs to be changed, who needs to change? Us. Quran will mold itself with you. Yeah. So now so that short saying number 31. If you go further, Imam also tells you what kufr is. It's not just about iman. He also tells you what kufr is. Right? So it gives you, if you want to check yourself, you have iman, you can check it. Right? If you want to check you are a mu'min or mu'mina, you can check it. Do you have those four pillars? Do you have the four parts of that pillar? If you don't have those four parts of the pillar, then you don't have that pillar. If you have a pillar that has three parts, that means that pillar is weak. Right? If you don't have four pillars and you have only two, that also means that the building is going to collapse. Right? So with that sort of way of looking at the tradition, there's a lot of confusion and a lot of self-introspection that can be done. Because we need to find out if we are a moment now, not when we get there. When we get there, it's done. We need to find out if we are the follower of the Imam right now. When Imam comes, it's done. We need to find out if we are willing to sacrifice our lives and our children. Bi abi anta wa ummi. We need to find out now. If you cannot come, for example, you cannot do little things for the sake of the Imam right now, don't expect that you will do big things for the Imam when he comes. Like, for example, you say, oh, I go to the program for what reason? Or I go for the Imam. So if the program is for the Imam, even if it is 2 hours, 3 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, you should be able to travel. If you're not able to come out of your comfort zone that the program is happening and it's 15 minutes away, either you're not doing it for the Imam, right? You're coming to the program for some other reason, or if you are doing it for the Imam, then if we cannot put out 15 minutes for the sake of the Imam, you think we'll be able to do more when he comes? No, we'll just do this much. Yeah. So sacrifice, you have to learn now. And it's very easy, okay? You all show up, be united. It's for the sake of the Imam. We need to be together. Why? Because it's for the sake of the Imam. We need to let go of our mindset of differences of language and culture and so forth. Why? So we can become one for the sake of the Imam. There's so many things that we can do for the sake of the Imam. But if we don't do them now, we don't get trained. Right? And you can check yourself this way. Okay? So now, sabr ho gaya tha. I think sabr we did go through the 4. The next was yaqeen. Now, if you look at yaqeen, the 4 parts, one part has to do with perception, perspective, understanding, knowledge. Right? One of those, now I'm just going very quickly, right? Like I'm not going through the hadith. I'm just giving the meaning. Part of it has to do with change of perspective. And not just change in perspective, but to be able to dwell into deep understanding. Not like level-based understanding, depth of understanding. And then apply that and you will get hikmah. You'll be able to get wisdom. You will be able to take advice from other people. Right? A wise person is not the one who gives advice. A wise person is who seeks advice. With me? It's not play on words. Think about it. A wise person will always be seeking advice. And person like me, giving advice. Like it's free. In my opinion, do this. Okay? All the time, advice. Baba, have you ever seeked advice? Just seek advice of your own. Like do what you are saying. You're advising others. For example, you're advising others to read at least 50 verses. Listen to your own advice. Seek advice. Seek first your own advice. And then go seek the advice of others. That's wisdom. Wisdom is not like keep on giving advices and you think that a person is very wise. No, it is to first seek your own advice. Right? So if you look at yaqeen, and then also Imam puts in history, that we need to learn from history. If you learn from history, it is as if you've lived with them. So if you look at the current situation of the condition that we are in, you can see the same situation in history, where there were empires that were so arrogant that this arrogance was the reason for their downfall. And there were people who were put pressure on, and because this pressure that was put on them, they became stronger. So it's nothing, whatever happening today is nothing new. It has happened before. And if you've seen it in history and you know it in history, you will have conviction when you are faced with these conditions and faced with these circumstances. A person will not be confused. They will know what their responsibility is. Right? We don't study history for that reason. We study history to get marks. Right? We study history to get marks, or we study history to argue, or we study history to show off. No, in 1948, December 22nd, this event happened, and oh, this person is very knowledgeable. Just because you know the dates and times of events doesn't make you knowledgeable. It's just information, right? Or this person is very knowledgeable, you know exact date, you know. Like I can throw any date, like 1931. Remember, somebody remembers what happened in 1931? I mentioned it. Yes, I'm asking. Wait, what? I mentioned a quote of a person who said it. No, Mother Teresa. No. So it was.
The Jew thing that how
No. See, Alhamdulillah, you guys are not like very particular on dates. It was a quote that I had mentioned to you about a person who, about the American dream. Is that there is a social order.
that's what I was saying.
You see? Now, it's a good thing if somebody said, I know, 1931 was James Serval, this guy, he said this and the exact quote, unquote. You know, it's good, but that's not the point. The point was that you know what was behind that quote, that you know why we need to know. Because it started off as social order, right? Where a person's potential can reach the stature that they deserve. That was the American dream. And now, when you look at it, you see that this is not the case anymore. Rather than achieving the potential of human beings, we've gone to the point of lower than human beings. The stature that we were supposed to have, rather than having that, we've got now, like they have the stature of oppressors, rather than being beneficial to humanity. But that was the idea. But today you see it's very different. Right? And you can also understand that is the natural inclination of a human being. The guy who came up with the idea did not, let's say, study Quran or Ahlulbayt, but the idea is such. Why? Because it is fitri. Every human being has this inclination. Now, as far as the other was concerned, I'm going to go quickly. You can recite the salawat, please. So there was like the ability to be able to make a decision, that's part of adl. If a person is not able to decide, that means that partially their adl is going to be affected. The ability to make a decision requires that you have the different angles of something that you are deciding on. It is your thought. It's not. It's an independent thought. And also part was also forbearance. A person who is just, who can place things in the right order, also needs to have forbearance. Okay. Now, when you have all of this, Imam is also telling you what would be the effect in your actions. That the person will be able to not commit any evil, and they will be able to live a life of a righteous and pious life among people. So the benefit of justice, of adl, part of Iman, is to do with qist. Is to do with qist is the social justice that is going to be brought out, right, in the government of the Imam, by the facilitation of the environment where people لَيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ, that people will deal with each other in righteous and just and fair manner with their choice. Not that they will be forced in the government of the Imam. They will deal with each other, right, in a righteous, pious manner, in a fair manner. That is the purpose for the prophets. Right? Bil-Bayyinat, you know that verse. Right? And the reason for the Anzalna Ma'ahumul Kitab, right? The book, Quran, right? The purpose is that person is able to stand up and deal with each other with fairness on their own, without any pressure, with their choice. Right? لَيَقُومُ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. Okay? So if a person thinks that I am mu'min, then see, are you living a righteous life? Right? Living a righteous life among people requires that you think of others as yourself. Whatever you like for yourself, you should like for others. Whatever you want others to do unto you, you should do unto them. And if you were to do that, it is fair. It's just. It's unfair to expect something that, like I want to expect something from you, but I don't want to give you the same thing. No. Do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. That's fair. Right? All right? And then the last one was jihad. So the word jihad, of course, a very dangerous word, hard to say. Even doesn't like when we say it, some people like, I'm not, I didn't listen to that, right? And the reason why we have this feeling now, before it wasn't, this is part of Iman, one of the sutoon, one of the pillars of Iman. But now this word becomes really scary. Why? Because of the actions of some people, and then the projection of what jihad is supposed to be, right? That's partially the reason. That if you were to say jihad, you'll be labeled, right? But, for example, a mujtahid is the same word, same family, but when we say mujtahid, nobody hides. When we say jihad, people hide, right? Like, for example, Allahu Akbar. It's Allahu Akbar. It's a nice saying. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Akbar, is greatest. But now you can't say that in public. Like you say it in public in the mall, you say Allahu Akbar, the person expecting some suicide bomber. Right? You get arrested at the airport. You say loudly Allahu Akbar, people come, oh my God, something's going to happen. Who made this image? Why this image is made? Allahu Akbar is nothing to do with killing the innocent people or spreading, this sort of fear. It's because it's made this way. So when it's made this way, Allahu Akbar now, when you hear it, there's subconsciously information coming to your mind, which is now scaring you. Right? The same thing with jihad too. I shouldn't say it because something's gonna happen to me. Right? We shouldn't talk about it. Right? If we talk about it, that means, or if somebody says a lot, jihad, this person is a fundamentalist or extremist. Right? But something so beautiful, which is part of every human being's life. This is something, it's in the life of every human being, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. Every human being is struggling. When you are struggling, you're doing jihad. The word jihad is from struggle. If you are struggling to earn livelihood, it's a struggle. But the reason why it's going to have the taqaddus or the sublimity the word is going to get is if you are earning the sustenance in the way of Allah subhanahu. But as far as the word is concerned, everyone is doing it. Especially in New Zealand. We have a lot of mujahid. Like the amount of the way things are so expensive and everything, people have to struggle. I've never seen so much traffic around 6 o'clock in the morning, all going to one direction. Like we were going in another direction, no traffic, everybody, at the other side, there's so many. 6 o'clock in the morning, they must have left 5:30. They go to sleep 6, 7 o'clock, and then they wake up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, start their day. For North America, this is struggle. It's crazy. Like people won't expect it. Of course, like people go to work, but nothing like this, right? So when you look at human beings, they are not, every aspect of their life is struggle. Breathing is jihad. Breathing is struggle. Right? But where does it become divine? Where does it become sublime? Where does it become muqaddas? Right? When you associate it, your struggle with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, your breathing in my Ramadan was worship. Right? It was tasbih. Now, this tasbih that you were doing is specified. Meaning, after my Ramadan finished, no more tasbih of breathing. Your sleep was worship. After my Ramadan, sleep, no worship. Only in this month. Why? Because it is the month of Allah. Because you are in a state of worship. Why? Because you are letting go of your lowly desires. Your focus is not on the body anymore. Your focus is on your other side, which is your original side, which is your essence. Your focus was on the shadow. Now your focus becomes on the shadow. It is on the right. Like this body is just alright. So then, for example, if you do Amr bil Maruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, that's part of jihad. If you were to do Amr bil Maruf, Imam says that you will make the mu'mineen strong. You will make the back of the mu'mineen strong. Zahur al mu'min. You will make us strong if you were to do Amr bil Maruf. You will make the community strong if you were to do Amr bil Maruf. If you do Nahy anil Munkar, you will have the noses of the kafirin, people who are hiding, right? You will be rubbing them in dirt. Meaning by doing Nahy anil Munkar, you are rubbing the noses of the kuffar in dirt. Right? What context have they put into our heads about jihad? About violence, about fighting, about, right? But there's something that when we are doing that. Right? If you do Amr bil Maruf, you are strengthening the sipah of the Imam. There was a place I went to, I might have told you this. There was I had to speak to the youths. There's a high school which is like Islamic high school, Shia Islamic high school, all the way to grade 12, and there were students there, and I was supposed to talk to them. So I went up to them. I said, "I am the recruiter of the army of the Imam of time. I'm here to recruit. So by the show of hands, who wants to be recruited? Who wants to be in the army of the Imam?" So I know I asked to raise their hands. Everybody raised their hands. Like the Moulana that was there, he raised his hand. Everyone raised his hand. Says, okay, all of you are recruited now. But in the army of the Imam, now that you're recruited, don't do anything that you will be out of the army. Okay? Now you are reservist. But don't do any actions that will get you out of the army of the Imam. Right? So alhamdulillah, everybody over there was recruited, right? So I can do here too, but with the condition that you don't do anything that will get you out of. What would be the reason why we would be out of the army of the Imam? When our faith becomes weaker, to the point, it's the scariest thing about sinning is a tradition that, it says that when a person sins, the soul of Iman comes out. It was the scariest thing I've heard. Meaning, when a person sins, the soul comes out, soul of Iman. Now, if a person dies in that state, has died without Iman. And of course, when we ask for forgiveness and we are remorseful, the soul comes back in. Right? So, the four pillars of Iman, if you know, you can keep a checklist whether you are on there or not. So then it also says that to be present in where you are needed, that's part of jihad. If you're needed as a volunteer somewhere, always be available, right? Always be available. And it's not about being available for an organization. It's not about being available for an institution. It's not about being available for that. That are for Al-Murtaza or for Ahlulbayt, or I'm available all the time. Madar khidmat shumastim, like we are in your service. No, you have to be always available for whom? For the Imam. Right? You have to be available for the Imam always. Whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, always. If you have that, you're always in the mawatin. You're always in the place where battle is going on. Sidqul mawatin. You're always there where the battle is going on. Alright? So if you leave where the battle is, what have you done? Are you still in the army? No. Are you still doing jihad? No. Right? So if you're needed for a program as a volunteer, you are there for the Imam and you are in the place of battlefield. If you do it, it's being Sidqul Mawatin. And then he says that one of the other things is that whoever is going to be present where the battle is going on. Now, when I say battle, it's not to do with bombs and, the battleground is your heart. The battleground is outside. Wherever there is goodness, that is the battleground. Right? Because wherever there is going to be goodness, there's going to be attack of evil. If you're present in the place of goodness, there's always going to be attack of evil. You're going to have to always struggle. You try to do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? There was this Moulana Sahib, he made the speech, he said that when a person wants to do something good, there is 70,000 shayateen that stop his way. And then after the speech, how like you discuss the speech, there were like people sitting and they were discussing, saying, oh, Moulana Sahib said this, no, how can this be possible? And this one guy said, I'll prove it, that's not the case. He said, okay. He goes, I'm going to go and I'm going to give something in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? He goes home and he picks up a coffee table. The wife's like, where are you taking it? I'm going to give it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we just bought this coffee table. What are you doing? Then he goes, picks up something else. She goes, same thing. What are you doing? Are you going mad? You want to give some money. Why you have to give this? We need this. I need this tomorrow. Everything he picked up in the house, the wife said, no. He comes back empty-handed. When he comes back empty-handed, he goes, what happened? The friends are saying, what happened? He goes, Mohansa was right. I don't know about the 70,000 shayateen, but the mother of shayateen stopped me. Okay? That she didn't let me take anything. So, I mean, it's real, but it can be anybody. It can be anybody that will stop you. If you try to do something good, there are going to be multitude of forces that are going to work on you that will stop you to do something good. But Imam says that if that is the case, that you're always present, then then what happens is that person has denounced or put dishonored, or brought the fasiqeen down. That a person who is fasiq would be disrespected, would be dishonored. But if you don't do that, then what is the opposite? Fasiq is going to get honored. Why? It's the same thing that happened to our Azadari, especially in India, Pakistan. The ulama were sitting on the minbar and doing tabligh. And then they left. They said, we'd rather do in madrasa. These people, layman people, we don't talk to them. We want to talk to scholars, like students. They don't know anything. They left the minbar. When they left the minbar, what happened to the minbar? The zakirs came, the people who were not educated, people who were just entertainers, and they came and manipulated people's emotions. But if they had kept the minbar, it would have dishonored those fasiqeen. The place was left alone. The battlefield was left alone. And therefore, somebody else and sat on it. And they became honorable. And now, in India, Pakistan, the zakir has more honor than an alim. Why? Because zakir has more following, hundreds and thousands of people listen to him, and people get entertained. They cry a lot and they laugh a lot. And people do that. See? And then he also puts another part for the pillar of jihad, is that to have anger, وغضب الله غضب الله له وأرضاه يوم. Whoever becomes angry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will become angry on his behalf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will become angry on his behalf, وَأَرْضَاهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, and on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep him in a state of rida, pleased. Right? So think about it. If we are angry with someone, what are we angry for? Person. If you get angry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's going to get angry on your behalf? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then on the day of judgment, you are in a place of rida. Rida is a very high place in the day of judgment. A very high place. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with you. Right? So now, what the oppressors, they don't know is that the reason, the mazhab of Ahlulbayt al-Islam, it doesn't get angry on the basis of personal. They get angry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if they are getting angry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to get angry on their behalf. You're going to get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your enemy. And He has all the resources. He has absolute power. Now this also gives hope and strength to the person who is getting angry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't worry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will get angry on your behalf. So if someone has that mindset, they will struggle. Right? Okay, so this was 4 pillars. Right? This also tells us, as a litmus test, whether we have Iman, also tells us how to get Iman. He gives us the path, He gives us the destination. Also, it gives us a measuring scale how far you are and how far you have to go. Okay? Yes? All right. So if you can recite salawat, and we're almost, last 4 or 5 minutes. See, the thing is, the concept itself is already in your mind. I just gonna try to see if I can verbalize in a way that has an effect on you. Okay. You know the fact that every action that we perform is presented to the Ahlulbayt. Every action we perform is presented to Ahlulbayt. Now, action is not without the doer. Okay? So, my thing is, okay, I perform this action, it's outside, and you see that I am separate now from the action or from the object that I worked on. Right? I picked it up. Right now, I'm performing an action. This bottle is with me. Right? But once I put the bottle away, I'm no longer with the bottle. But when I was performing the action and the doer is together. Okay? Now, I'll just ask you a question. If there is a good action, okay, for example, the recitation of the Holy Quran, a good action. You recited the Holy Quran. Between the reciter and the recitation, which one has higher? So you recited the Holy Quran, is recitation. You are the reciter, and your recitation is the Holy Quran. Out of the two, recitation and and the reciter, which one is higher?
Same level.
The reciter, okay. So same level is a very good political. It can always be correct. So the reason why it's the reciter is because this good action emanated from the reciter. It's the doer that performed it, and it was performed by the doer. It came out of the goodness of the doer. Therefore, the doer is higher than the action. With me?
Yep.
So now, these two things are together, action and the doer. It's presented to the Imam, to Ahlulbayt. Even to the point the sixth Imam said to one of the people, he said that, don't make the Holy Prophet sad. Why do you make him sad? Right? And the person said, Imam, how can I make the Holy Prophet sad? And the Holy Prophet had passed away by then, right? Imam said that when you perform an action, it's presented to the Holy Prophet. And he gets sad. And the word is actually aziyat. It's like pain. He feels the pain. He's sad. So why don't you make him happy? You make him happy by performing good deeds. Right? They're presented to you. Right? Okay? This concept okay? Now whether it's every Shabbat Jummah, it's on Fridays, once a month, it's in Laylatul Qadr, the whole year of actions are presented. All of this, different, we talked about this. It's there so that you have an opportunity to complete an action or to ask for forgiveness. So all of the system is there. Okay, this one. Now with the Holy Quran, present your action to the Holy Quran. The statement, I'll say it again. Present your actions to the Holy Quran. Our actions are presented to Ahlulbayt. We are not the one presenting the actions. You perform the actions, it will be presented. With me? Here, present your actions to the Holy Quran. Meaning what? You do an action, present it to the Quran, whether this action was correct or not. Whether this action was according to the Holy Quran or not. So when you present it to the Holy Quran, the Quran can let you know this action of yours was not according to me. You need to change that. Right? So,
Yeah.
yes? Because they're both the same, present your actions to the Quran. Like for example, now today I did my speech. It's not really speech, I just talk to myself, and you guys are just listening. Normally I won't get an opportunity to talk to myself for so long, out loud, where people don't think I'm crazy. This way I can talk to myself and nobody thinks I'm crazy. So Moulana, mashallah, tabarak, taqabbalallah, mafakakumullah, tayyiballah anfusakum. But the reason why I'm saying I'm talking to myself because all of these things are going to be first presented to me. You spoke for an hour, you said these things, they're going to be presented to me. What did you do? Right? So now I go home and I present my actions to the Holy Quran. How can I present? If I know the ghayat of the Quran, if I know the thinking pattern of the Quran, I can take a look at my speech and my interaction with that thinking pattern and say whether it was according to the ghayat of Quran or not. Right? If there were places where I was insincere or, I could make a judgment. The other is, I can sit down and say, Quran, I'm presenting you my action. Okay, so I sit down, I say, the actions that I performed, was it according to you? Guide me. Yeah, and I'm not doing it purposely, but if something bad comes up, I'm not telling you guys. so, so yeah. Okay. So, anyways, so I presented my. Even if it was so good, I wasn't going to tell you anyways. So, now that I've presented my action with the intention, and Quran will, I can read one page or I can read two verses, and it will tell me whether it was according to me or if it was not according to me. Right? So this way you can build a relationship. You do an action, you perform an action. You have a small Quran in your hand, or you have it in your pocket, or you have it in the app. Just randomly open it and see whether what Quran says. No, it's not istikhara. It's not istikhara. It's like you're getting guidance. Right now, we only have one idea about opening the Quran and istikhara. If you look at the word istikhara, is you're seeking khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever did shar, then it makes sense to ask khair. But when everything He does is khair, we're only doing this because of our own we want a stamp. Not that we are asking khair, we just want a stamp. So, anyways, I'm not buying a house, I'm not doing anything. Like if you're buying a house, you want to look at the Quran, but our own actions, we don't want to look at the Quran, very sad. When you are going to be judged on this, right? Our inclination, we have to open the Quran to make sure we're making the right decision. Well, every decision of yours is going to be judged on the Holy Quran. Why we are not doing that? Our actions are going to be presented. Quran is a mizan. Okay? So, on daily basis, you can do that. And inshallah, when you open it, you will see that you're presenting your action. So, yeah.
So istikhara is before doing the action. And this is after.
Yes.
This is when I.
Yes. Good. Alhamdulillah. So, if you can recite a salawat for everybody. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and keep you happy and safe, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr, inna al-insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw